and girls, today we're going to go to a town in Northern Ireland beginning with B, and it's called Ballyclare. And we're going to learn something about Ballyclare. Really enjoyed being up there. And before that, we're going to sing that Baba song, and the sheep are going to help us sing along.
Baba, he's the good shepherd, everywhere I go he knows. Baba, he is my savior, I will follow where he goes. Jesus loves me, finds me, cares for me, watches, saves me, leads back home. Baba, he's the good shepherd, everywhere I go he knows. Baba, he is my savior, I will follow where he goes. I was so lost, where do I begin? He paid the cost for my sin. Baba, he's the good shepherd, everywhere I go he knows. Baba, he is my savior, I will follow where he goes. I was so scared, storms would frighten me. I will not fear, he's with me.
Here we go!
Baba, he's the good shepherd, everywhere I go he knows. Baba, he is my savior, I will follow where he goes. I will follow where he goes. I will follow where he goes.
Brilliant song! That's a Baba song. Let's go to see what's happening.
Today, does anyone recognise the clock or the building? We are in Ballyclare, Ballyclare, County Antrim. Lovely little town, busy little town. And if you wonder where Ballyclare is, it's if you go one way you come to Larne, if you go the other way you come to Patrick, if you go the other way you come to Doak or Ballymena or Belfast. So it's a little country town in many ways. I remember as a child growing up on a farm, and we used to keep pigs, and whenever the mother pig, the sow, would give birth to little piglets after 8 weeks, I would get a whole day off school to take them to the market, and I absolutely loved those days. I would go out and clean the pigs and straw them, put them in the trailer early that morning, and my dad and me would take off to the market. And whenever you brought them in with everybody else's pigs, I was so proud of my little pink piglets, and I loved the wee pigs. And then when the time was come to sell them, I would go up to the auctioneer, and he would start bid, 1, 2, 2, 3, 4, the way an auctioneer would talk.
747, $7, 28, 28, 78, they're all that's 28.
And then he would look at me when the last person would give a number, an amount of money. He would say, well, I put them on the market, and I would look over at my dad, and he would give me the nod, and I would say yes, then they were sold. And then that's the way it went. And then we'd go to the bun shop and would buy my mum buns and cakes to celebrate the sale of her little piglets. And that was when I got a day off school. I absolutely loved that. Ballyclare, if you look up the history of it, it's built over a river, the 6 Mile Water. It used to be called the Ora River, or the River of Rushes. And rushes is where rushes will often grow where there's damp land or water nearby. And often wildlife like snipe and little birds, they just love rushy type fields. But whenever I think of bulrushes, I again think of the Bible. And one of the most prominent stories and characters in the Bible with the story is Moses. Moses lived for 120 years. The last 40 years of his life, he led the children of Israel through the wilderness for 40 years, teaching them about God. And God was providing them food and water along the way. The middle 40 was in the wilderness, where God would use the burning bush to call him out. But for the first 40 years he lived in a palace as a prince, learning the Egyptian laws, and as an Israelite as well. But Moses, when he was born, all the babies were in great danger because there were so many of them, and his mother hid him in a little ark and put him in the bulrushes in the River Nile. And that's why he's called Moses, because he was drawn out of the water, out of the bulrushes. Whenever I think of the crossing It was built on the crossing of the river. I think of another great Bible story about after Moses leading the children of Israel was a man called Joshua. And this was the end after 40 years. God promised him a land that flowed with milk and honey, the promised land, or the land of Canaan. And the last journey was to cross over the river Jordan. And Moses would send 2 spies, Joshua and Caleb, and they come back optimistic, saying there's grapes, huge grapes, but there's a big city called Jericho, and we'll be able to conquer that city. But they had to cross over the river Jordan, and just like the Red Sea opened up, so did the river Jordan. God provided a way. God made a way. He made a path through the river Jordan for them to walk through. That was a step of faith. God said to Joshua, take a step forward, and the water just opened up for them to walk through safely. So God was leading and guiding the children of Israel, people like Moses, people like Joshua. And God doesn't change. God leads and guides me. He leads and guides his people, and he can lead and guide you too in school. As you're in school, to help you with your subjects, with your learning, all these things, because when you go to school you can't read or write in P1, but when you leave school you should be able to read and write and learn and do all these things because you're ready for big school. And that's a process, and sometimes we struggle with learning, struggle with understanding, concentration, all these things. And if you do that, God can help you. He specialises in helping people learn about him and learn about school, learn about all these other things. So Ballyclare, not too far from Carrickfergus. Carrickfergus was built by the Normanites, and of course they would send people up towards Ballyclare along the river just to keep watch and to keep a lookout. So all of these towns in many ways are close by, they're related, and then you can see different shops. One of the shops down there is called the Farmer's Inn. When the market used to be in Ballyclare, then the farmers would go often to the inn place and they would get something to eat, they would get their dinner. They've been up early in the morning, so they need to get their dinner before they go back home and do another day's work. There's 2 huge schools, primary schools and a high school and a secondary school also in Ballyclare. Lots of occupation, lots of people working, all sorts of shops. There's banks, there's coffee shops, and you can learn all about the different coffee shops, learn all about the town. There's also churches, like lots of towns across Northern Ireland are often built. There's a school and there's a church. That's a hamlet and a village and a town. Then a city. That's how things grow. So people would often come to here for their work, come here for what they have to do. There's lots of different Chinese, Indian, ethnic foods. People from all around the world will come make their home in Northern Ireland, and then they would have their business here. Many of these businesses are food. There's Johnny White's, a local fish and chip shop. I always seem to find a fish and chip shop because I like fish and chips. And Johnny White's, Domino's Pizza, and of course there's charity shops in Northern Ireland. It's a very charitable country. People are very kind. That's a biblical thing. God teaches us we've got to show mercy, show love, and show charity. And by caring, sometimes people have got lots of shoes, lots of clothes in their home. Their wardrobes are full of them, and they know they'll never use them again. But it's good to donate these to charity shops so people who don't have so much money can buy them at a much lesser price. And so it's a good testimony for a Christian especially to show out their Christian love by loving their neighbour as themselves, loving people as themselves. What's the first commandment? To love God and your neighbour as yourself, and to treat others as we would like to be treated. Also connected with Ballyclare is Mark Twain. You might remember the great novelist, one of the greatest authors in the world for children's book. When I was growing up, one of the books we would read was The Adventures of Tom Sawyer and Huckleberry Finn. That was written by Mark Twain. His family came from Ballyclare. That book, The Adventures of Tom Sawyer, is known as a great American novel. Growing up, I used to watch this on TV. I loved The Adventures of Tom Sawyer. He loved climbing trees, he loved wearing shorts, he loved swimming in the river. All those things I loved and still love doing. So I was really intrigued when I read his family ancestors came from Ballyclare, emigrated to America, and Mark Twain was thus born. Also, sometimes we can forget about the famous people who come from towns. From Ballyclare is Johnny Ray, 6-time world champion motorbike rider. Northern Ireland's famous for world champions, Joey Dunlop, Robert Dunlop, but today Johnny Ray is up there as a world-class professional motorbike champion, 6 times world champion. So whenever you think of Ballyclare, all over the world, Ballyclare is known for this man here, the motorcycle champion, Jonathan Ray.
It's Jonathan Ray for the 92nd race victory of his career. It's Jonathan Ray who takes the lead of the World Championship.
I'm sure when he was at primary school, he had no idea he was going to be a motorbike rider, never mind a professional, never mind a world champion. So at school, you have no idea, and you can become anything literally you want to be at school. But the easiest thing you can become, believe it or not, is a Christian and live your life as a child of the living God. No matter where you are in the world, you can be a child of God, a Christian, and love God. So whatever you do in life, you can take God with you, and he can help you through all those things. Live and well from Ballyclare, busy place up in the square here, going round and round. Another clock, a big clock in the town hall to let people know the time. And again, it reminds me time is short to live for God, and time is short to give your heart and your life to the Lord Jesus. Little children, give me your heart. Whenever you're young, God says that you can live and shine for me. So bye here from Ballyclare.
Interesting town up in Ballyclare, yes. And we're going to finish our assembly today by singing the song, I'm Trusting You.
What's next? I wanna face this world with wonder and excitement. Face every challenge every day. Wherever you lead me, I'm gonna follow. I'm trusting you, God. You are good. Life will be crazy, wild and amazing. I'm trusting you, God. You are good. What's next? I wanna face this world with wonder and excitement. It's every challenge every day. I'm gonna follow. I'm trusting you, God. You are good. Life will be crazy, wild and amazing. I'm trusting you, God. You are good. Wherever you lead me, I'm gonna follow. I'm trusting you, God. You are good. Life will be crazy, wild and amazing. I'm trusting you, God. You are good. I'm trusting you, God. You are good. I'm trusting you, God. You are good.
Brilliant song, I'm Trusting You, God, you are good. Thank you so much for watching today, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Yeah, 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 yeah.